All right, guys, just like we mentioned, driver, the number 22 Pennzoil Ford Mustang, friend of the show, but also a good friend of mine, Mr. Joey Sliced Bread, Next Gen Joe Logano, join Stacking Pennies.
What's up, Shu?
Oh, man, just excited to talk to you a little bit. First off, can we just talk about that backdrop? Probably the most impressive backdrop of anybody we've had on the show.
Well, as I was saying before, we're in the process of moving, and we've just kind of set it all here in my office for now. And it's a good problem. It's a good problem. You just put it there, and it's a good backdrop.
Yes, I have blinds in my backdrop. You, sir, have two monsters, a Harley J. Earl trophy, a championship trophy, a Martinsville clock, and two Vegas trophies, and also a bottle of hand sanitizer. So you got it all covered.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready. There's not enough, though. It needs another championship trophy on the other side. That's the goal this year.
It does look a little like
that, right?
Sideways. No doubt. So how do you like the 22's chances? Up 40 going into Bristol. Got to be feeling pretty good about that going to the round of 12. But how do you like 8 weeks from now your championship hopes?
I feel pretty good about it. You know, this year, there's so many different winners, and anybody can win at any time. No one's really found consistency over a course of more than 5 or 6 weeks. It seems like the cycles just are going so quick. Where typically, right, in the past, you'd have a team that would figure something out and it would last half a year or close to it before they'd maybe go in a little bit of a dip and someone else would figure it out. It's like every 3 to 4 weeks, there's a new team that's figured it out and they're going fast. Right now, I'd say it's the Toyota, especially at the faster mile-and-a-half type racetracks. Obviously, Bristol this weekend, it's not like that. So I think it just depends on the type of track. It depends on, how things kind of go through its cycle. And ultimately, you just got to keep yourself in it because you may be the one at the end that has the fastest cars when it all comes down to it. But if you knocked yourself out of the playoffs, it doesn't matter. So we just got to keep ourselves in it, stay alive. And I think we're in the, we're not bad on speed. We qualified, second last week. We can run up towards the front. So good at Darlington too. I feel good.
Well, also, it's not only just about going to the next round of the playoffs. It's about trying to stack up playoff points, whether it's winning a stage, whether it's winning here at Bristol, which you, sir, are no stranger to victory lane. Multiple swords that I don't see in the backdrop behind you, but first winner on Bristol dirt. There it is. Now, I love the sword, though, because you seem to wield that thing any chance you get. One on dirt, one on concrete, but what should the fans expect going there for the first time on concrete with the next gen car?
The unexpected at this point. My thoughts right now is thinking about the rubber that's going to be laid on the racetrack, right? You got the PJ1 on the bottom. It used to always take a lot of rubber and clump up. Now we have a wider tire, and recently this Goodyear tire is really rubbering up the racetracks. Anywhere we go, there's a ton of rubber. We're testing in Martinsville is like a ton of the garage is rubbered up. So you can imagine, what this could be, 500 laps of cars being just constantly pounding into the racetrack. I would think it's going to go through some serious swings. The track's going to go from, one on the bottom to one on top. Maybe it's going to over rubber on the top and you're going to have to be forced to find something in the middle. It's kind of hard to say what it's going to be. I know it's going to be a grueling race. That's for sure. It's Bristol, 500 laps there, possibly shifting. It seems like that might be a thing. Our arms would be falling off, Corey. We're going to be at the end of this one.
We are going to be shot because, that's the thing about short tracks. This next gen car, it's going to be 500 qualifying laps. You're going to have to be hammered down every lap. Did you know? You probably do. That you hold a record at Bristol. Do you know what that record is?
No, I don't. But I'd like to know it.
In 2015, if that's a hint. Xfinity race.
Led every lap.
How the hell does somebody lead every lap at Bristol?
I don't know. They had longer runs, and everyone ended up pitting. Usually because of the pit cycles and things like that, you don't lead every lap. But we had a fast car, and then the longer runs, when the caution came out, everybody pitted every time. And so we maintained the lead, had good stops, and we led every lap on that one. That was kind of cool. Yeah, that's a neat one.
Yeah. So also another big milestone in Joey's NASCAR career, 500 career starts. Does it feel like it's been 1,000 or does it feel like it's been 50?
I think it's like having kids. I think the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like some seasons feel like they take forever. And then you kind of just, when you take a step back and look at, what is it, close to 15 years of cup racing, you're just like, well, that was pretty quick. Because I mean, I remember it didn't feel like it was that long ago. You were racing pro challenge cars at Bristol.
Yeah.
We went up there, which those are way too faster for Bristol. It was not, I wouldn't say it was safe in any way, but we drove up there and did that. It was fun.
Yeah.
Bristol.
We've been at this a long time. And I tell people all the time, it's like when you think about, the success that Joey Logano's had, you've been in a cup car racing full time almost more than half of your life. Almost.
Yeah.
Which is a bizarre thing. Now, that kind of leads up to, I'm going to ask you the Iron Man question. I think we've asked you this on the show before, but you've got to be looking at it because you just recently announced another long-term deal with Penske. It's your home for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
There's pretty good chance, knock on wood, you're going to be the Iron Man one day in the near future. What would that sort of thing mean to you?
So yes, I've thought about this in the past, and I'm probably one of the few that can do it at this point. So I started so young, right? And I could maybe do this. And if I can consistently keep starting races and nothing happens, you don't get hurt, you don't get other stuff, right? Right. And so I have a chance at hitting that. It's still, I think I'm 8 years away. If I'm, so don't quote me on that, but I'm like close, somewhere in there. And so I don't know, like at that point I'd be, close to 40. So it's definitely doable. Like who knows at that point in my life, what's going to be most important, what I'm going to be doing and all that. Like, it's really hard to say because let's be honest, the Ironman award, you know what it pays? Goose egg. And most of the time people don't even know who is that. And like, I don't know what value is really in that besides just kind of a feeling inside of accomplishment. I'd much rather win a bunch more races than just start races. Like, I don't know, like it's almost like a participation award in a way, right? Like you started a whole bunch of them, good for you, but I want to win a bunch of them. That means more. And so I'd like to have it. It would be something cool to have, with your name on it and having the youngest record with the Ironman, like that, the two of those kind of going together would be cool. But I don't know how much either one of them really matters.
How much is Joey Logano different starting Bristol this weekend, start number 500, than start number 1?
Dude, like, well, it is when you started your first cup race, you're like wigging out, right? Yeah. Like, because and for me, like I was 18 and my first race was in Loudon. And I remember just like being a nervous wreck before the race starts. And I sucked. Like I was awful. I was way off. And I think I finished 3 laps down. I never hit a thing, just finished 2 laps down. And, I was in a good car, obviously. So like I just was off. And it was like the slap in the face was like, welcome to reality, bud. Like, before that, I could win Xfinity races. I could jump in things. I could just win. And like, it was okay. And then I got to that level. Like, these guys are really, really good. Like, even like the guys that ran in the back that I thought were no good were coming off the corner, just sideways, smoking them, right? And wow, like these guys I thought that sucked are really good. I'm not even close. And so, I mean, I guess like those firsts are always what makes you nervous, right? Because you don't know what's coming. And it's like that in life, no matter what you're doing. Like the first time you do it, you're really nervous. And then as you do it a couple times, you get used to it, right? Your first kid to your second kid, you're a completely different parent. Your first year of cup racing to your second year to your 15th year, yeah, it's a lot different. You know it's coming, but I can't say I still get nervous. I still prepare in the same way. I still is thinking about what's on the line, and it kind of is what drives me, but I'm a lot more comfortable in that environment now.
So I want to shift gears a bit because bear with me for a second. I generally compare you and Kyle Busch just because you guys came in at 18. You're racing the Cup Series from the time you were old enough to vote, right? More than anybody else. And you yourself and Kyle Busch have both grown up literally in front of millions of people every single weekend for the last over 15 years. You also were similar to Kyle Busch in this current season of life, where he more or less, without putting any fluff on it, got fired from JGR. You had some Xfinity offers to go run for JGR. Obviously, Cup Series talent, you want to say the Cup Series, the 22 became available, so you made the move. When you view Kyle Busch's scenario, making the jump to RCR this year, hitting the reset button on his career after 15 years at Gibbs, what is some sort of insight that you can give the listeners that they probably don't understand watching it and just judging Kyle's actions over the last couple of months?
Yeah, there's some similarities, but there's also a lot of things different, right? Like, because when I look at my situation, I was 4 years into my career. I was losing my job because I wasn't good on the racetrack. And I had a great opportunity at Penske, and everything worked out, obviously, for the best. But that being said, going through my own contract negotiations since then, right? We just went through one, right? And announced that deal. And it's a distraction. You can't tell me it's not. And that's with a team that people and the sponsors are set. You have all this stuff figured out. I don't have a truck team. I don't have, at the time when I was moved to Penske, I didn't have a family. It's just me. Now I'm married with children, those type of things. Like, Kyle's got to go through all that. He's got a truck team. He's got all these things he's got to do. And, oh yeah, let's go win a championship this year while you're still here. Like, you only have 100% in a day. You're going to have to allocate your time in different ways to maximize what you have. And when I can focus 100% on driving a race car, Kyle can't right now, or couldn't. And I think when you hear a lot of his interviews here recently, he was wanting to announce something. He was wanting to get a deal done. You can tell, like, he's just over it. Like, get me somewhere. I want to know where I'm going to be next year, and let me go focus on that. Like, now, okay, the first dominoes fallen today. Great, good for him. Now there's the other piece of it where now you have this, like, I don't want to call it a lame duck year, but it's like a weird environment it gives for him, because now you're working at a place where they're viewing you as, yeah, we want to win with you, but you're also a competitor of ours next year, and we don't want to show you anything anymore. So now, if there was any tests, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be doing those. He's not going to be in any meetings anymore. That's what happened to me. They had a conversation, and it's completely understandable. It's, hey, why were we going to give you everything and let you take it down the road to RCR? Like that, no. And that's understandable. But now you're left on an island on your own, by yourself. And it's really weird, because I'm part of the team, but I'm not part of the team. I'm going somewhere else next year. Like, it's just a weird thing. And then, like, I'll always remember, I said this earlier on Sirius, that the final race with that team is like a really weird, bittersweet moment, because take yourself out of it, take your future out of it. It's the relationships that you grow with your team, right? I worked at Gibbs from when I was 15 to I was 21. And so I was there a lot, and I built these relationships with these people. We went to lunch, you go to eat, like, you're working with them, all this stuff. And you're with everyone so much. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, I'm out of here. And it was sad. You can't sugarcoat that. Like, it's a sad day. And even when I see them now, like, I still, like, there's those guys, I miss those guys. They're great. They're great people. Doesn't mean like it didn't work out. It worked out for both of us really, really well. But there's that bittersweet moment when he leaves Phoenix for the final race in the 18 car. I think it's gonna be hard. It was hard for me.
Wow, that's a loaded answer, my friend. That was a good explanation.
Long-winded too.
Now, what's your all too soon prediction on Kyle Busch's performance over there at RCR?
I mean, I would think it'd be fine, right? I mean, look at what Reddick's doing in the 8 over there, right? He put on the pin this week. He goes fast. I think Kyle's going to add a lot to it. He's smart. He's a smart race car driver. He's able to, I think, probably add a lot to that race team. Obviously Kyle has different sides to him and different things as well, but I think he's going to be able to bring something to that team. He's obviously going to want to, he's probably going to have a little chip on his shoulder, right? I mean, you got let go from one place and you go somewhere else. So you want to show up, right? You want to get to Daytona and show them what's up. And I'm pretty sure Kyle's going to have that and probably bring a little extra to the table, I would assume. Whether if he knows that or not inside, or you're probably going to subconsciously bring a little extra. It's just like the playoffs, right? It might be the playoffs in Daytona for him right off the bat.
Where is that Phoenix trophy going to sit behind you?
You're near the other one over there.
Yeah.
By the window.
and obviously if you win that Phoenix trophy, it probably comes along with one that can even out your backdrop. So what do you and the 22 team, what do you guys have to do to make sure you can position yourself for that?
We just got to be solid here the next few weeks. You got to get through the first round, right? Get through Bristol. And then you just got to execute these races, right? And that's the biggest thing. If you don't have winning speed, you got to get stage points, and you got to top 10 them to death and get some couple top fives within that, and just have solid. And I look at the next round, pretty tricky, right? You got Talladega, you got Roval, Texas in there. It's a pretty tricky round where Talladega, I mean, I don't know. You finish super speedways better than me. I'm just gonna follow you all day, I guess, because
if you're following me, I'm freaking hanging out my belts tight, because whoever you're pushing usually ends up in the fence.
Oh, come on now, come on! It's time to go.
It is got to go.
Maybe that's it. Well, no, not lately. I've been pretty good at it lately. I feel like I'm good at it.
You've been good. Yeah,
it's me that gets turned around most of the time in these, but. I just think of those rounds like it's going to be tough, and then once you get to the championship four, then it's just all about that one race, and it's kind of its own little thing, right? And you got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and you remember those races forever. I remember every championship four we've been part of, and you remember the ones that sting the most. And Phoenix in 2020 is probably the one that stings the most for me. And yes, it's the most recent that we were in there, but also the fact that we came off of pit road on the final pit stop under green as the leader and had a 20 or 30 car length lead over Chase, and things are looking good with like 30 laps to go, and you get a vibration and you fall back to fourth. Like, are you kidding me? Right? Like that I get a pit in my stomach thinking about it right now of like, we did everything we were supposed to do that race. You're fast, pit stops are right, you execute to the lead with 30 or 40 to go, and next thing you know, you're running fourth and you can't see where you're going because your car's shaking so bad. Holy cow. But that's the things that can happen throughout this whole 10-week span. And everything's got to go just right. And it can just be one run at the end of a race that changes your whole season.
Well, there you heard it from the man himself, driver of the 22 Ford Mustang, Joey Logano. Before I let you go, you've answered, little refresher for the listeners. If you had to pick one car and one racetrack to race out the rest of your life, what are you picking?
Bristol. I love Bristol. I think it's a great racetrack.
Yeah. In what?
Well, I've never really raced anything but a Cup car and an Xfinity car there. I would choose a Cup car from 2018, probably, when we had a bunch of power and the small spoilers. That was probably the most fun that it was.
And
maybe I'll say next gen cars after this. I don't know. I might. We'll see.
Hey, I think they're going to put on a pretty decent show. And then one question, I don't know if you've been on early this year, so you may or may not have gotten it. What's the most embarrassed you've been at a racetrack?
Ooh, my most embarrassing moment in a race car wasn't at the racetrack. Does that count?
Give it to me.
Do you know the story about when I wrecked the pit car?
No. Refresh me. I have.
This
Oh, was, it roushed. You drove into the fence.
Oh, yeah.
You said that on the show.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely the most embarrassing one. That one was embarrassing. I actually went over to RFK the other day, and all the flashbacks came back. So the Wheel Force car was over there, and I was looking at it, and Brad was showing me around of everything they did to renovate. It looks really nice over there. And I just had these memories of pushing this wrecked pit car as a 15-year-old through the shop, and everyone looking at you like, how do you wreck the pit car? And that, yep, forever will be burnt into my mind. There's plenty of other embarrassing moments. Out of 500 starts, I believe me, there's plenty of dumb things. Kansas, I went down pit road with the pits closed as the leader.
Can
we? Embarrassing.
Well, sometimes you have a brain fart, man.
Yeah.
when you said a 15-year-old pushed a pit car wreck, it instantly, for whatever reason, brought back the kind of instructor, like the guide, when we were on those ski-doos in Salt Lake City or Lake Placid, and he said, NASCAR's next superstar totaled my sled. Let's just close it with that story. So give me your point of view, and then I'll add in mine.
Corey's a better storyteller than I am, so I'm just saying that. Right. Corey's is much better at it, but bottom line is it ended in a barrel roll. I'll let Corey go with this one.
All right. Here, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. So we're up at Lake Placid, and Jeff and I put on like a NHRA drivers versus NASCAR drivers in bobsleds. So they had Dan Walden was there, Joey was there, JR Todd. I mean, there was 8 or 9 guys having a good time. They also simultaneously had a Polaris. They had like 8 or 9, maybe a little more than that, sleds, like the latest, greatest, right off the showroom for like test rides for people coming to enjoy the event. So we get all done bobsled, and then we jump on these sleds, and they were like pretty uptight about them. Like you had to sign the release, and you had to watch the movie, and you got the whole spiel about you. Like there's this parking lot that is iced over, and you drive straight and you putt at 4 miles an hour. Do not do any horseplay. So we're like, yeah, like it's my dad, Tom, Deb, Joey's mom, and Joe. And there's a couple other of us. And we go and we're having a blast. There's a big oval track, and we're gassing these things up. And anybody's ridden a snowmobile, like they move, right? Like these things are beasts.
So fast.
And we get to this particular parking lot that's frozen over. And I'm like second or third in line, and like the instructor's up front. And I'm like kind of fishtailing, messing around. And my dad's second behind me, and he's like getting a little more, right? And I look behind him, and here's Joey. And he is like broadside, like getting it. Block to lock. Next thing you know, that thing takes a bite. And I look over my shoulder, and Joey, again, similar to Darlington going down the grandstand stairs, parallel to the ground, flying like Superman. The sled takes like 4 or 5 endo rolls, yard sales, gas tanks falling off, handlebars are jacked up, skis pointing up to the ceiling, and he's like he gets off, he's trying to like flip this thing over before the instructor like sees him. It's got plastic and scattered everywhere, and of course the instructor peeks over, sees him. My dad and I and Joey were trying to flip this sled over before we got caught. Well, obviously we got caught.
The thing only turned right afterward because the handlebars were in a tank.
Up against the tank. The thing was teetotal. So he puts this thing tail between his legs and like brings it back in. And the head guy from Polaris, he's like, holy shit, man, what happened? And the guy said, yeah, NASCAR's next superstar totaled our sled. And then your pinky, the same one that got hurt from Darlington, reoccurring injury apparently, you stuck it in the snow every time you could for the rest of the trip. Made a snowball.
Man.
You and that pinky.
I tell you what, something about being around you. I don't know what it was when we were kids, but I pushed it a little too much a lot.
It usually does not end well for you, but
you know what? It hasn't ended well for you a few times either. If I remember a couple side-by-side incidents back in the day too.
Oh, I've ripped plenty of your side-by-side wheels off for sure. I've definitely done a number. And my damage bill over Joey Logano racing side-by-side division is quite high. So I appreciate it.
We used to ride out here. We used to ride almost every night. It was a good time.
Yeah, back and forth kids and responsibilities.
Oh my goodness.
Well, guys,
here.
hope you enjoyed that. Joe Logano headed into Bristol this weekend, up 40 the cut line, feeling pretty good. So good luck, Joe. I'll see you up there.
All right, I'll see you up there, man. Thanks.
See you, bud.